My name's Sam. I'm the Partnerships and Communications Manager here at Fairygodboss. And Fairygodboss is the largest career community for women. Our mission is to improve the workplace by increasing transparency, and we offer a ton of great free resources like anonymous company reviews, job listings, articles, virtual recruiting events, and so much more to help you succeed in your career. We will be recording today's webinar and sending it out in a follow-up email later today. So if you miss anything or you want to rewatch it back, you'll have the chance to do so. And we'll also be taking questions at the end of today's webinar. You'll see that Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen. Feel free to leave any questions you have there, and you can do so as yourself or anonymously, so don't be afraid to ask whatever comes to mind. Here with me today is Sandra Diaz. Sandra loves seeing people get hired for a role that they once thought was out of reach. That's why she's developed a step-by-step program to help women and minorities land dream corporate jobs. Those are the same strategies that she used to join L'Oreal as an AVP and get promoted to director at Sears. Job seekers have also used her proven system to get more interviews and ideal job offers in 90 days, even after a career hiatus. Today, she's going to share her insights on how to build your hiring tribe. Thank you so much for being here today, Sandra. Over to you.
Thank you, Sam. I am so excited to be here, especially because one of my passions is to share with people the things I've learned on my journey so you don't have to wander in the wilderness as I have in the past. And in fact, the steps that I'm going to teach you today were inspired by my time as an independent consultant, where I was trying to get companies to get me to hire me as a Hispanic marketing strategist. And what happened was I would spend a lot of time cold calling or cold emailing and barely got any responses, never heard from people, very frustrating. And so I learned in my personal life about the power of systems, and I got this one LinkedIn system to help me sell. And what happened was the first step in the system there was to figure out what was the title of the person you want to sell your services to, and to find out in your LinkedIn network how many people like those you had. And it turned out that I discovered in that process, I only had 3 people in my network that could actually buy my services. And lo and behold, they had already bought my services. So I basically had to quickly build up the network of those VPs that I needed to sell to. And with the process of optimizing my LinkedIn profile and the way I invited people, I actually got a response from Heidi here in the slide. And Heidi, I didn't even have to tell her I was selling Hispanic marketing. Just from looking at my profile, her reply back to my invitation to connect was to tell me she was launching some clinics for Hispanics and how could I help her. So all of those learnings that I got from all this journey, I put into a free ebook, because at the same time that I was an independent consultant, I was doing a job search ministry for my church. And I thought, you know, all these struggles I've had, I think I can put that together in a system for people to look for jobs. And later I launched this as a private coaching practice. And in that private coaching practice, half of the people I worked with, once they started applying the system, they landed their job in 90 days. And 100% of the people who followed it landed ideal jobs. And that included a mom that had a 10-year career hiatus and wanted to go back to a director level job, but it had to be 20 minutes from home. And even she was able to achieve that with my system. Now, we know we are in post-COVID days here, and so it's gonna be a little bumpy, but one thing I can guarantee you is that any system, mine or another's system, will reduce your time to landing by 33%. So whether it's mine or whether it's somebody else, make sure that you listen up and focus so that you can follow these steps and you can also land a dream job even in this environment. So today, what I want to make sure is that you actively participate in the process. So please make sure to have your mobile phone handy, because we're going to be doing some exercises there. And then I'm gonna teach you the system that I developed. We are gonna assess the quality of your hiring tribe here live. We're gonna learn how to build credibility, and then how to nurture those relationships you're gonna go and get on LinkedIn. And at the end of the day, what I want you to walk away with is feeling confident with some tools that can help you engage other people. So why do you need to build a hiring tribe, especially now? First is because applying online sucks for two reasons. One is, and I'm sure you've felt this, where like you apply and apply and apply and nobody responds. And that is because it costs money for companies to post their jobs online. So only 20% of the jobs that are out there are posted, and everybody's competing for them. And on top of that, there is a machine. Basically, you're applying into a system called the applicant tracking system, and that system's goal is to boot out as many people as possible and pick the plum people to surface them to actual human being who's going to review that resume. So sometimes just your formatting could be off and you could get booted out. Instead, those hidden job market opportunities are probably going to be reviewed by an actual human being. The next reason to build a hiring tribe is because landing any job is a numbers game. So again, these are pre-COVID numbers, but still, of all the companies that could be hiring you, only 3% have an opening. Right now in COVID days, and depending on your industry, that hiring now could be 0, but there's a bucket of companies that are considering hiring. And you need to get on their radar earlier in the process, because as soon as they have a need, they are gonna go first to the people that are already top of mind. The third reason is because sadly, as much as there's a lot of diversity initiatives of which I have been a part of, and we try to change people's behavior and be open to different kinds of people, the reality is people hire and promote those like themselves. And in part, it's because hiring is risky, right? If you hire somebody, you want them to hit the ground running. You don't want to make a mistake. You want other people to perceive you as being able to hire the right people. So managers, in general, their bias would be towards, first of all, hiring people they know or at least have heard of, which means you have to know a lot of hiring managers. They want to hire people they like. So when you're connecting with people, you want to connect with them around things in common. And they want to hire people they trust. And so in the process of job searching, you need to find ways to add value to those hiring managers, so that trust is already there even before you go to the interview. So let's start with our first exercise. We want to figure out who is in your tribe. So make sure you pull out your phones. If you have the LinkedIn app on your phone, great. If you don't worry. This recording will be sent to you so you can do this exercise later. So when you go to your LinkedIn app, you're gonna go there to the search bar. And in the search bar, you are going to type the title of the person that would be your hiring manager. So in my case, if I wanted a director of marketing job, I would be trying to target a vice president of marketing would be my boss. So type that in your search bar and then click there on see all results. And then when you see the results, make sure to click on the word people and the word connections there. Because when you do that, you're gonna get this little pop-up window, and we want you to pick filter by first connections. So what this is gonna help us do is it's going to help us to figure out from, where did it go? It's gonna help us figure out, once we click first connections and people, it's gonna help us figure out how many people in your network currently as first connections can hire you right now. So make note of this number. As you can see, I went from having 3 people in my network that could hire me to now having more than 800 people, because of course I got to the task with my system that I got in the past. So let's go to your phone now that you took note of that number, and go to this website, menti.com, and enter this code that you see here, 862297. And I want you to share how many first connections in your LinkedIn network you can hire next. Okay, the good news is that most of you have between 10 and 100 connections, which is a lot better than where I started back in the day. There are some people that have none, and don't worry, we're gonna teach you how to get more. And very excited to see some people also have a lot more than 100, which means your focus is gonna be more on nurturing. So let's go back to what we're doing here. And let's go, now I'm gonna tell you the steps. Now that we know where you are at with your network, how are we going to build our tribe? So the first step is mindset. So especially right now that we're going through a crisis, we need to guard to avoid what's called the learned helplessness trap. And the learned helplessness trap is a mindset that processes events in negative ways. So you may be out of work, or you may be looking for a new job, and things are not happening. And so you interpret what's happening as personalized. So it's about me, I'm no good. You interpret it as pervasive, meaning there's no jobs anywhere, everything's bad. And permanent, meaning it's always gonna stay this way. And what happens with this type of mindset is that because of it, you begin to lose control over the things that you actually can control. So you feel like you can't even control the things that you actually can. So, to remedy that learned helplessness, and especially given where we are today with COVID and all the grieving we're going through, it's important that we do this exercise together. So I'm gonna go back to Menti, and we're gonna answer a couple of questions. Let me go here to, let's see. We're gonna go to this one. And up. Okay, so I think this is a new code. So we'll go back to Menti and use this code if it asks you again for another code. If you don't see this question, just reload the menti.com website and type in the code 396882 and put in a word or short phrase that describes the things that you can't control right now in your job search and networking process. So we're in this critical situation inside our homes. What can't you control about your job search and networking? So as you can see in this word cloud format shows us which is the word that most is coming to mind to people and what people have out of your control. And obviously hiring freeze is a big deal, right? Because if there's a hiring freeze, what are you gonna do? When you're feeling like everything is hopeless, and you write down at home what you can't control, it's okay. You can sit in that feeling of despair for a little bit. Give yourself, 10 minutes. And I know worry and all those things is not a 10-minute thing, but do the conscious exercise of sitting, looking at all of this and worrying really hard about it, but knowing you can't control it. And then we're gonna move to the next thing, which is what you can control. So what can you control in your job search? So as you can see here, first of all, there's lots of things that you can control. Second of all, you'll notice obviously resume and cover letter is important, right? How you present yourself, learning and upskilling. But I'm very happy to see that networking is a big thing that you are all feeling, hey, I can control that. And I would reframe the word networking as building relationships and an opportunity to serve. And hopefully I can later on download these responses and hopefully include it. Samantha, we didn't figure this out, but I'll send you a printout of these so people can have it and can reflect on it again. You worry really hard about what you can't control for 10 minutes, and then maybe you can look at this list of things you can control and focus on those. Okay, so let's go back here and let's move this thing again. So following a system daily is also a way to attack the learned helplessness. As I told you before, any system will cut your time to landing, whatever it ends up being with the new COVID situation. The way I like to encourage people to follow a system is called applying the 30-minute rule, which is you either wake up 30 minutes earlier or the first 30 minutes of your day, you already know what your system is and you do an activity from your system that fits in the 30 minutes. If the day goes downhill from there for A, B, and C, not a problem. You already took care of your system beginning of the day. The reality for many people is once you start going with your 30 minutes, you end up doing a lot more than that, and that helps even more. But if for some reason the day doesn't go well, it's okay. You already did something. The other reason to follow a system is because it helps you keep going after normalizing negative feelings. So it's normal for us to be grieving every day. Even today, when I was preparing to make this presentation, my heart was feeling really, really heavy from different people that, are telling me about their situations. And at the end of the day, we have to acknowledge that's a reality we have right now, but we can normalize that. And then we have something we can go to, and what's my system? Keep on going. Another thing with mindset that is important is going from a scarcity mindset to a service mindset. So scarcity mindset is that one based on fear, please hire me. Any person you talk to, the first question is, do you have a job for me? So what I want you to do is to shift to two things of the service mindset. One is your goal is to build relationships and ask for guidance. And try to help others. So you right now are eyes and ears for other people, because the people who are working, they are overwhelmed. Maybe some people have been laid off and they're doing 2 jobs. You are eyes and ears looking at the landscape, understanding the trends, understanding where the opportunities are, and you can actually be of help to them as much as they can be of help to you. The other thing is, hiring is always about being a solution to a manager's problem. And that the job description tells you the tasks you're gonna do, but those are not the problems. The problems you have to find out through networking what they are, so you can come up and sell yourself as the best solution to that problem. But you can't do that unless you talk to people. One woman, I work at a nonprofit by day, and we serve survivors of human trafficking. And there was this woman that called. She doesn't have a job, but she said, I would like to volunteer. Can you tell me? I can do cleaning. Can I go clean somewhere? And obviously there's not a place for her to go clean, but guess who's the first person that we're gonna keep in mind to get a new job as soon as we can? This woman who wanted to serve. So stand out from the pack by having a service mindset. Step 2 is targeting. You need to know where you want to work. A lot of people that I work with, their challenge is they don't have enough target companies on their list, or they feel I can work anywhere. And then in reality, you have a geography you want to work in, industries where you have experience, and it's okay if you want a career change. But you have to be clear how you can add value. And you also, right now, you have to understand what are the trends in those industries. There's a LinkedIn workforce report that can really help with that. But you have time, if you don't have a job right now, to understand, read, analyze, so you can figure out where the opportunities might be for you. Some people like bigger companies, smaller companies. For some people, making sure the employee base is diverse is important. And there might be some people who need visa sponsorship. So you have to figure out what your criteria is and then make your list. And the way I like to make lists, you can do it 2 ways. You can go look at job openings on LinkedIn, and there's sections on the side of the job opening that talk about other similar jobs or other similar companies. But remember, since only 20% of the opportunities are available, that you're not gonna see all the jobs and all the businesses. And I'll teach in a moment one way where I might use to figure out what are all the companies in New York I might wanna look at. The other thing is, for people who need visa sponsorship, there's a website called myvisajobs.com, and it will show you what companies have sponsored in the past. So you know it's a difficult process, but if a company has sponsored, you have a higher chance to get that job than if you had to convince a company that's never sponsored. The public library is also an excellent source of the long list of all the companies in an area, but I'm not sure right now if perhaps their websites may have information. Okay, so I want you to go back to your LinkedIn app now, and we're gonna do an example of how I might find my company list. So doing the same as we did before, in this case, I'm assuming I need a vice president of marketing job. So I'm searching for that. And let me just see. Yeah, okay. Oh yeah, nonprofits. Perfect. So vice president of marketing is the job I'm targeting for myself. So I search for it. And I go and I pick people, but instead of picking connections, I'll pick locations. And in my case, I want to filter by greater New York City area. So I click that and show results. And then let me move this here out of there. And then see, I see there's 230,000 results in there. some people, several marketing VPs work at the same company, but I can then go through this list and I don't have to go into each person, but I can see, okay, there's Samsung, there's Fresh Pet. And what this helps us identify is there are companies that are a lot smaller that may not have job openings they've posted, but they may show in here with people who work there, so you can build a bigger list of companies. Okay. In the interest of time, I'm gonna skip this, but make sure you know how many companies are on your list, because you wanna have at least 100 companies. With that pyramid I show you of 3% hiring, it takes 100 companies to have 3 openings, of which you might get 1 interview. So make sure you make your list. Okay, the third step is results. What does this mean? You need to sell the results you can create to make sure you show up as a credible person, because the ideal candidate for a job is the candidate that has solved, past tense, the company's problems. So you need to show whatever the company needs, you need to show you've already done it. Now, if you're a person on a hiatus, if you're a recent graduate, or if you're a career changer, you have to be creative about how to show that you can solve the problem. My mom, that was on a career hiatus, what she would do was she was looking for a job helping companies acquire and sell companies. So in her cover letter, she would do an actual analysis of the company's possibilities, and that's what she included in her cover letter. So that way she proved she could do what the responsibilities of the job were. And you need to share results everywhere. It's not only your LinkedIn profile and resume, but when you introduce yourself to people, very important. It's okay to complain about your lot on social media. For example, in Fairygodboss, I see it all the time. But please tell us first, what is it that you can do for a company? And then tell us why you're so sad nobody's calling you. Because as a reader, I want to help. But if somebody just says, nobody hired me, it's in the black hole, I'm still here as a reader sitting thinking, I want to help this person, but I have no idea how to help her or him, and what results she or him can create, so that I can sell the idea to somebody else. So help people help you by sharing the results you can create. Very importantly, skills are not results. And I have to show you what the difference is with this example. And I think I'm gonna take this video thing out because I'm worried about the recording that doesn't let us see stuff here. Okay. Skills are not results. So this is a person. These 2 people have similar skill sets, but this is the difference between skills and results. Skill. This person speaks a second language and is a communications professional. Fantastic. But that's not a result. Result is what you do with the skill you have. So result is, based on the person's bilingual skills, they were able to review more than 500 creative and curriculum assets. People don't buy skills, they buy results. Think about it, you as a customer, you want the results. You don't care how people get to the result, but you want a certain outcome, and that's what you need to sell in your profile, when you're speaking to people in interviews and such. Another example. This person has a strong record of contributions in different areas, including new product launches. Fantastic. Have no idea what your contributions are, right? I can't get inspired of like, oh, I want that too. Here it's, the result. What is the result? 9 launches in 8 categories. Okay, I know this person could probably do my launch too because they have lots of experience and they won an award. Okay, I want somebody who does that kind of work. So I hope you're able to see the difference between the 2. And based on that, if you can take a look at your LinkedIn profile, let's go back, and we want to see is, I want you to give me a sense for whether your LinkedIn headline and your LinkedIn summary shows more skills, more results, or both equally. It's okay to have some skills in your profile. It's just that you have to, again, get people excited about hiring you by showing them what you've done before in concrete terms, because that's what they will buy. So, oh, and I think you need to go again to Menti and do a new code. This is a new code. Okay, well, as you can see here, clearly one opportunity that you all have is to think about the results component and how you translate what you've done into results. And the good thing is, in the ebook that I told you you can download, and I'll give you the link again at the end, there are some templates there that can help you quickly do that. One thing that I've noticed in job search is a lot of people spend a lot of time polishing their resume and LinkedIn profile and not enough time networking. It's okay to go out there with a base LinkedIn or base resume that's not 100% perfect. I would rather you prioritize your time networking and actually using the networking time to get feedback on maybe what are some of the results verbally that are attracting people's attention, so that will give you ideas you can then tweak your resume and LinkedIn profile or cover letter. Okay, let's go back here. Step 4, connecting. So for those people who had especially for the ones who had just a few people in your network, but even for those of you who have a lot of people, the reason why you may want to make a target company list is because you want to surround that company. So you want to contact peers on the team where you're going to work, the team supervisor, the HR recruiter. If they have a diversity office and you're a woman or minority, you want those people also on your corner. And sometimes people in other functions might be helpful, because that's how you'll learn a lot about company problems. So for those of you who have no people in your network, focus on peers on the team and team supervisor. For those of you who have a lot of people in your network that can hire you, look at your target companies and see if you have the HR recruiter of that company. And I'm not talking about the executive recruiter that works for a freelance company. I'm actually talking about the person in HR inside the company. And also, again, depending if you're a woman and minority, look for the diversity office as well. And if you're making an introduction on LinkedIn, you're inviting people to connect with you, always mention what you have in common and mention what your goal is with the invitation, because that's what will help you increase the percentage of people agreeing to connect with you. By the way, for every 3 invitations you send, you're gonna get 1 acceptance. And for 1 acceptance that you get, and if you send them a thank you or ask them to connect with them further, about 1/3 of them are gonna come back. So don't get discouraged if some people don't respond, sometimes including people you know well. So don't worry about that. Keep on getting people into your network and move on. Ways to create things in common are, especially again, if you're a new graduate, at least your school that you went to provides you a network already, even if you don't have experience yet in that function. But there's industry, function, geography, your gender and ethnicity. Sometimes you're part of the same groups, or maybe you know connections in common. So those are all ways to create common ground. And then, as you notice here, I asked, and this is a real example of when I was looking for an opportunity, I asked this person specifically, and this is something you can use verbatim. Would I want to connect with you to learn more about your role at that company. That's good because then the person actually replied with, what is her role and what do I do? So that gave me an opportunity to come back with leading with my results. I still thank the person for accepting my request. I led with my results. And then I tell the person, I'm exploring a career change and I want to learn more about what's going on at the company to see whether it's a company that can benefit from my expertise. Notice I didn't say, do you have a job? Are there openings? It's more, I need to understand the company because I don't know if I can even add value, because always if I can add value, there's a job there potentially. And I also ask people for a very short amount of time, like 10, 15 minutes, just for them to share about their experiences. By the way, in that call, I never expect them to refer me to a job. This person doesn't know me from Adam. My goal in the first call is to establish that I'm a credible person, that I know what I'm talking about. So she didn't respond to me for a while there, but she established a time. I think I may have had to follow up with her. Don't be afraid to follow up. And then she did ask me, is there a specific job that caught your eye? And notice my response. I didn't say, yeah, here's the job. Please, here's my resume. What I did is I said, at this point, I'm trying to figure out whether Mana products can benefit from my expertise. Because again, they may have another opportunity that's not posted where I can add more value. I don't know. I did still tell her, because she asked me if I was looking for consulting at the time. I was a consultant, right? So I said, oh, full-time would be great. Here's a posting I think I could contribute to, but I'm open to consulting. So again, I create open dialogue versus closed. Give me the job now, person that doesn't know me, which that's not gonna go anywhere. And I actually, by the way, from the conversation I had with her, I did get an interview and I didn't get the job, but I was able to refer a former colleague to the boss's job of that job. So I built some credibility there, regardless of the outcome, direct outcome for me. Okay, I'm gonna skip this in the interest of time and it's gonna go to serve. This is probably the most important thing here that people don't do. So the goal of serving is for you to stay top of mind, because again, when the hiring opportunity comes, you want people to keep you on the top of mind, to be like, oh yeah, that person will be good, let's contact them. Even before we post or as we post the job online. So plan to contact 1 to 5 people per day, and this depends on how busy you are, if you have a job right now or not. Look at their or their employees' employers' updates on social media, because nowadays people say everything about themselves. So you can learn a lot about what they're going through to be relevant when you connect with them. And then use the 3 I's to stay in touch. What are the 3 I's? First one is information. Send them articles, jobs openings, or simple encouragement. Right now, so many people need encouragement in so many ways. Sometimes their contributions are overlooked. Sometimes they just need to, get excited about life like we all are. So you'd be amazed. Sometimes when people are seeking for a job, they feel because they don't have a job, they don't have anything to give. And that's further from the truth, right? You have, as I said, your eyes and ears to provide encouragement and information. You will also find out about events that may be of personal or professional interest to the person, so you can invite them to that event. Right now, we can't go anywhere with anybody, but you can invite them and be there on the Zoom or comment later about the event if the 2 of you went. And then introduction. So connecting to people that need to be connected, but make sure that they are peers or that they can truly benefit. Don't connect people to anybody who's gonna sell them anything or another job seeker unless they actually asked for it. So if they told you, oh, I'm looking for this type of resource that is, an advertising agency, or I'm looking for a chef or whatever, sure, send them that information. But if not, please don't do that. And the other thing you need to do to establish yourself and as a credible source is to share your knowledge. So make sure you share one post or upload one photo per day with one expert insight or observation. It's okay to put a photo of you with your award and how excited we are. And that helps me with the results category. But it's more important for you to also show what you know in your field. So find those articles, comment. The best thing to share your knowledge is share a post from somebody in your hiring tribe with your insight about it, and even giving kudos to that person who shared. And especially for all of you career changers, people on hiatus, and new grads, if you can learn how to write a short how-to article related to your area of expertise. In my ebook, I have a format you can use that's very easy. Basically, you would answer a question or provide guidance or share your opinion on a topic, and that's a way to demonstrate you know something about the field that you want to enter in. And so to end here, I want to show you, so Heidi and I met back in 2016. That's when I went to present to her about Hispanic marketing. And just a week ago, she is now at a pet insurance company, and she shared this post about, the sheltering with your pets. And all I did to stay top of mind was to say, hi, I'm so excited for you. You have a great new job. It's obviously pets are amazing. Thank you for helping people have peace of mind during this season. Best wishes. Again, I'm not looking for anything from her. She already knows what I do. And notice that this person is the CEO of a company. And in 10 minutes, she replied back to me, thanks, Sandra, hope you're well. This is really important because this is what helps. It helps me know that my tribe is warm, and the day that potentially I want to go work for a pet insurance company, I'm going to be able to knock on Heidi's door, and at least she will talk to me about how I might be able to benefit them. So back to the ebook. Again, you will get a link to download this in the follow-up email. More things that are in the ebook are specific templates to do some of these things that I just shared with you, including also how to apply, how to send impact letters to hiring managers, some tips for interviewing and offer negotiation. After you download it, you're gonna get 9 daily emails, because I've noticed a lot of people download the resource, but they're not following through. And then you should get a free 30-minute consultation. The link is inside the ebook. And I would suggest that you practice the system first and then request your 30-minute consultation, because then you can ask a lot of valuable questions to help you troubleshoot and be on your way.
Thanks so much, Sandra. That was a great presentation. And we will be including that link in that follow-up email. As I mentioned earlier, it will also have the recording as well as Sandra's contact info. So if you want to get in touch, have any specific questions, it will all be in that email going out later today. But now I'd love to move into the Q&A from the audience. So if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the Q&A box. You'll find it at the bottom of your screen. Again, you can leave questions with your username or anonymously, so feel free to do either. But I did see a question from English Bedgley, I hope I said that right, come in already. They asked, what is the best method for identifying the results of your skills? And so turning your skills into results.
Yeah, so skill is what you know, result is what you're able to do with what you know. If you remember back in the example I gave, skill was I speak a second language. Result is with that knowledge, I can review many ads and curriculum in multiple languages to make sure they're actually communicating what they're supposed to. Results are things that people, like if you look at a job description, they want you to do A, B, C, D. But the point is, so what? So what is it that they ultimately want to accomplish by you doing that? Like if you're in fundraising, the job description says, we want you to be able to run events. Like why do companies or why do nonprofits have a gala? They have a gala because they need to grow, their funds. So the result is I grew or I was contributed to raising $100,000 because I know how to do events. That's the difference between skills and results.
And then following up on that, because I saw another question come through about skills and results. If we have been in jobs that have not really had results, what can we do in the meantime to gain results?
So the thing is, all jobs have results because, like I said, you have a skill that you apply to obtain an objective for whatever organization you're in, whether you are the intern that came in or the CEO of the organization. For example, somebody who's more junior, they're taking care of a lot of detail work to make sure certain things get done seamlessly. So the result could be, seamless event, or whatever it is that you do in your organization. If you're, let's say, a social media community manager, the skill is, I know how to do community management. The result is engage 500 people in a group where they post one post daily, right? Because that's the ultimate, so why do you do the activity you do?
Yeah, exactly. I know somebody just commented that they find it's harder to write results in a service helping profession, which I think I would agree. When you have sales, it's very clear cut, achieve 5 million in revenue, et cetera, et cetera. And whereas, more of a service oriented position, it's a bit harder because a lot of it might be a bit more subjective. But I think Sandra made a great point. You just have to think about what was the result? What was the objective of what you were doing? If it was just to ensure that, customers are happy and receiving what they need to, well, that's still going to matter to the person hiring you because that might be what they're trying to do. They're trying to ensure, that you're facilitating clear communications and making sure that the customer is happy at the end of the day. So it's just finding that objective and turning it into kind of, okay, how can I simplify this and explain it to the person who is going to hire me?
Yeah. And to your point, Sam, sorry to interrupt. Service professions, normally companies have a customer satisfaction survey. So, by the way, one good reason to recontact your past manager, even if you had a bad relationship with them, you can ask them hey, did our company have customer satisfaction surveys? Because you can say, I contributed to a customer rating of 5 stars, whatever, because I serve the people. That's the result is the customer satisfaction rating.
Yeah, that's a great point. We had a question come in from Aurora here. She asks, how can I recognize who would be the best person hiring me?
Well, can Aurora tell us what the name of the job she wants and what the name would be of her boss, the title of the boss she had before?
Okay, Aurora, if you want to leave that in the Q&A, we'll come back to your question. Let's move on to a question from Karen. What is the best way for an introvert to network?
So first of all, common connection, right? So at minimum, go after the people that were in your same school, where you went to school, if you have that. And the other thing is put on your service hat, put on the listening hat. You don't have to create the dialogue, but write down a few good questions to ask people and draw them out with the question I asked the woman. I just want to learn about your role there. That's a simple question. Let them talk, because that's how you're going to learn things from people, and use more curiosity and listening and ask more questions, and make sure also you reflect when people are talking so they know they've been listened to. And that's all you need to do, because that will give you the intelligence to be able to then position yourself best. The other person's going to ask you questions like, what are you looking for? Make sure you have a pitch. So rehearse. And again, the ebook has some tools that you can use.
Yeah, I think Sandra gave great advice right there. We've heard this advice a lot too, specifically for introverts. ask questions. A lot of people love talking about themselves, and they will, jump on the chance to do so. So just keep asking more questions, and then you'll end up doing way less talking, but learning so much more. And it's likely that that person will remember you because they got to talk about themselves, even if they didn't realize it. Another question here from Amy that I think a lot of us have to deal with a lot. Sometimes I get LinkedIn requests from people I don't know. Should I be accepting these requests?
So what I like to do, I think LinkedIn has a feature, if it's not on the computer version, it's on the mobile where you can reply without accepting. I always will ask people, what did they have in mind when they connected with me? If for some reason I decide to accept them, I'll still ask them that question. If they don't reply and I don't trust them, I'll delete them. I also like to go in and look to see what area they're in and who they know. If they're, for my particular line of work, I don't want to necessarily meet people in India or Singapore or something with a strange profile that doesn't look like there's jobs there that make sense. I won't connect with them. So yeah, but ask people, because actually one of the best sources of advice that actually sadly my late founder of my job search ministry of my church, he would say, if somebody asks you a question, ask them, why do you ask that question? Because sometimes people have in mind something. If you just start answering that question when you're networking, you will miss what the person had in mind. And if the person tells you what they had in mind, because they could be connecting with you for some reason, they might have opportunities that you didn't think about if you don't sort of create that dialogue.
Awesome. So getting back to Aurora's question of how she can recognize who would be the person hiring her, she said that she's a recent renewable energy engineer graduate. Her past supervisors were project managers in a smaller company, but now she's looking to move into a bigger company.
Okay, so you would start with the project managers at bigger companies.
Simple as that.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Another question that I've seen kind of rephrased in two different people's questions. Sorry, I'm just going back to it. We have Jamie and Need who are asking something very similar. Essentially, they want to kind of switch industries, switch careers a little bit, and they're trying to figure out how they can now take their skills from whatever job they were in and reapply them to something that isn't the same without getting boxed into the past job they were doing. They want to move into something new and reapply those skills. How can they go about retooling those, rephrasing them, and reworking them to fit these new jobs?
So you need to, this is where the article and the post come to play, because it's like show and tell, right? So, okay, yeah, you in your resume, you can use the language of the new job, but in the end, nobody's gonna hire you easily if they didn't already see something you can do. I remember some of the most successful people that I've ever interviewed always brought their show and tell. And sometimes in your cover letter, you have to have some kind of show and tell to show me that you can do what you want to do next. If you can share what you were doing before and what you want to do now, maybe I can give you a more concrete idea.
Okay. For now, let's move on to Danny's question. She says, I'm new to LinkedIn and I feel like I'm playing catch up. Would you please speak to the experience section and how granular that should be?
I personally don't think you need to make it granular. I would focus on the headline and the summary, because the headline and the summary is where you can basically explain what results you can create. And then you can just list the companies you've worked at. And that way people will just get a quick sense of what's your background, especially if people have well-known companies in there. Just seeing the companies enough for the credibility of the skills. I have worked with people, for example, from other countries. They might have to put the name of the company and an explanation of what the company did and what they did, but that's because nobody knows what that company is from another country.
Okay, cool. And then we have a few more minutes and we have a lot more questions, so I promise we're going to get to as many as possible. But we had this question come in from an anonymous attendee and from Yvonne. They're very similar, so I'll group them together here. Yvonne wants to know what's the best way for someone who's returning to the workforce after a career sabbatical. And our anonymous attendees kind of asking the same thing. They're trying to return to the workforce after a 15-year gap, and they don't want to be considered a brand new worker, but they also are receiving offers that are way lower than when they left. So do you have any tips for these attendees?
It's work the system. So you have to target what companies can benefit from your expertise. You have to, like my mom, I was telling you from the 10-year career hiatus, she basically in her cover letter, she did a lot of research on companies because again, she wanted to be in a job with that was at a director level with acquiring and selling companies. So in her cover letter, the way she showed her expertise was by writing them, here's what industry you're in, and I think these are the companies you could sell and could acquire. But again, it depends on what your industry is, but you have to, sometimes people are able to use volunteer opportunities to create portfolio or experience. So again, you have to somehow show the actual tangible results in recent time.
Yeah, I also want to add, oh no, continue please.
No, I was gonna say, and also because I know you have a lot of Q&A, Sam, that I can answer the questions. Sam is gonna send you a link to my Fairygodboss group. So we can, if you give me the list of questions, I can type in the answers to them in that group as well.
Yeah, I was going to tell everybody that I will be sending out a link to her group. So if you have additional questions that come up afterwards, you can definitely ask them there. For now, we can try and get to one or two more. We had this, I wanted to add something to your point before, career gaps. So we've had a lot of people talk about coming back from career gaps. It is very unlikely that during your career gap, you were doing absolutely nothing, sitting home, twiddling your thumbs all day. You were likely doing something. Maybe it was traveling, maybe it was taking care of your parents or your children, maybe it was volunteering. There's a number of things you could have been doing. Find what that is and include that as well in your resume or in, when you're talking to an interviewer. Don't show, you want to tell them that you were doing something, and it's very, like I said, it's very unlikely you were doing absolutely nothing. And that's a way to kind of show, like, even when you weren't in the traditional workforce, so to say, you were still doing something with your time. You were still learning, still growing as a professional. This is a funny question. Is it absolutely critical to be on LinkedIn?
It depends what type of job you're looking for. What I like about LinkedIn is that it just helps me figure out the people I actually need to speak to. So if you have another way to find out, maybe you're part of an industry association where you've got the names of the people you want to engage, then you don't need to be on LinkedIn. But you also, by the way, have to have a way for people to know who you are as your background. That reminds me, here on Fairygodboss, I've also noticed a lot of you have incomplete profiles. Again, when I want to go in and help you, I'm like, well, let me see what this person does. Barely anything on the profile, can't help you. Would love to help you, but I can't. So it is important that if you have some form of a presence online, you don't have to reveal your whole life story in it, but you at least need to give some details so that people can know who you are, how you can add value, and then help you.
Exactly. So I wrote down the rest of the questions that we couldn't get to, and I will drop them in Sandra's Fairygodboss group right after this, and she will answer them there. But if anything else comes up in the meantime, you can also go leave your question in her group. Again, I'll send out the links to both her ebook, her group, and any other connections that you want to make with her in the follow-up email with the recording later today. But I just want to say thank you so much again to Sandra for joining us today. I think this was a really great presentation and conversation.
Yes, thank you for having me here, and I look forward to everybody's questions.
Thank you, everyone. We will catch you at the next one. In the meantime, have a great day. Bye.